episode 32. Take... What? Sorry. Take 3.
Of this episode, it is being recorded for the second time.
I don't think we should disclose that.
You don't think so? Only the real fans will know. Check out our OnlyFans. You'll get to see this episode unrecorded,
You'll get to see
unedited,
fresh off the brain. So, a day of reckoning. A day of reckoning was upon us. 2 days ago.
Yes, the beast arose from the gates of hell, 666, and they said, Cuomo no mo.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Wait, this is like very satanic now. A demon came up? No, it was the Attorney General for the state of New York.
Oh, wait. Edit that. I'll cancel. I'm not calling Letitia James a demon. Wrong podcast.
Okay, the New York sewer monster crawled out of the Hudson with its giant claws, and it reached all the way over to Albany and plucked him.
See, some jokes just don't work. They just don't work, because then you end up sounding misogynistic.
So yeah, Cuomo no mo.
Cuomo no mo.
He resigned, like the true gentleman that we all know him to be.
After the 1001th kiss on the cheek, the clock struck at midnight, and he resigned.
Yeah, kind of shocking. I kind of thought he was gonna ride this out.
I'm not gonna lie. When I got the news, I definitely was like, "Whoa, he did it." Yeah. So same.
Yeah, you said the same thing I said, but you had to describe like the feeling. But we didn't see, like, there was no parade. Everyone just kind of...
No parade, no one handing out champagne on the streets.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, no free tarot readings because he's out. We got nothing.
Yeah, no, it doesn't really change anything as far as like the condition of the state or how it's being run, as much as it is just now this bad guy can't do bad guy stuff.
But in the age of optics, where we have the first, we have the first female governor of New York, so that's something,
Kathy
right?
Hochul.
Miss Hochul, if you're nasty.
Kathy Hochul is the first female governor. She is I'm very stoked about her. I think she's gonna do great, because she said that she was gonna fight like hell for New York.
Yeah. I wonder, does that mean the Finger Lakes are gonna get more funding finally? Does this mean Albany is just gonna be like...
I don't think it means anything. I think it doesn't mean anything. She didn't like lay out like a whole like new plan of like, well, hey, this is what Cuomo was doing. I'm going to do something better. She was just like, I'm not going to harass people in my office, and it's not going to be a toxic workplace.
I mean, he put in a 2-week resignation though. Do you how, unless she was working on this like a year in advance, there's no way she has like a whole separate like legislative agenda just ready to go.
Oh God, maybe she does, and she just doesn't want to reveal that, because that would be psycho.
Wait, she's been planning for him to resign. She actually knew about everything that was going on.
Well, she knew that he was in hot water for a while.
She knew that
she might have started writing that speech like with the senior center controversy.
People had to have gone to her and been like, it's kind of toxic to work here for like some of the other employees.
Oh, but she didn't experience that because she's not that close to him.
Oh yeah. She does not. She doesn't even know what he smells like.
Yeah,
she has no clue.
Andrew who? I never heard of him.
Oh, that guy who turns his camera off in the Zoom calls. Oh yeah, that guy. PowerPoint guy? Oh, yeah. We talked once.
Well, yeah, new chapter. New chapter for the state of New York. New chapter in the Me Too movement.
The women's
Another
right.
one in the books.
Yeah, another dick bites the dust. Goodbye, Dick.
So,
yeah,
this was a big week for legislation in the Senate. We got the infrastructure bill passed in the Senate. And it's a whole $1 trillion.
What would you do with that amount of money?
Oh, I'd build just one big bridge.
LA to New York.
LA
biggest bridge.
We just Route 66, but bigger.
Make it higher. And also add a Dave and Buster's every 1,000 miles. No, it's a pretty big legislative success because we're finally getting money thrown at Amtrak. Not thrown, but where it should have gone, which is
placed carefully
with Amtrak. And they're getting a whole like $80 billion. There's more money being thrown at busing and internet and all the stuff that Americans need.
Yeah.
There is no qualms about this.
I think they could have splurged a little more,
Mm-hmm.
I've always wondered why there's no Cristal in the cafe car,
Cristal.
Is that still a thing?
I was get some hypnotic in there. Yeah, we're going to do 2,000 liquors in the Amtrak car.
Anyway, I actually do not know if Cristal is still a thing.
Truth be told, one of the first times that I got drunk was on an Amtrak car.
Really?
Yeah, I was like 19, and I was like, it was one of my first jobs. I was working like as a community organizer in Asheville, North Carolina. We were being trained in Philly, and on the way to Philly, one of the guys who was 21 was like, "Hey, you want a drink?" And I was like, "Yeah," and got pleasantly drunk and fell asleep.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say they just didn't card you on the Amtrak train.
No, I didn't buy it. Of course they're gonna card you on the Amtrak. It is like Fort Knox on that train.
And it's about to get even better. $80 billion better.
They're gonna be droning drinks to you. An in-train drone.
No, but I genuinely think it's very important. Public transportation has been underserved in this country, and Joe Biden, he said he was gonna be like the train guy, right? And
well, that was Pete Buttigieg, but...
Okay, Pete Buttigieg says I'm the train guy, but I'm only second to Joe Biden, who seems to love trains.
Bigger train guy. He has a train set in the Oval Office that he plays with quite often.
Oh my God, what is it? Yeah, some people really love trains.
I
bet he does have a model train, though. A model Amtrak.
I don't want to come for the train community.
Yeah.
But it is a very niche, esoteric hobby to build model trains.
Yeah.
But I mean, what's the difference between that and I don't know, D&D? Maybe the trains have their own story and where they came from, and then you have them battle other trains. You take them to your training your other friend's train's house, and then they kind of go head to head in a Royale.
Wait, I'm kind of into this. Is like Beyblades or something.
Beyblades with train blades.
My saber-tooth tiger train is coming charging at your dragon train.
Amtrak, yes, you may steal that idea. Yes, you may.
Oh, yeah, it'd be awesome. They brand them with big dragon heads on the front, and let's get people excited about Amtrak.
We need people excited about infrastructure in general.
Yeah,
and this is how we do it, right?
Yeah.
The fact that that's happening, the fact that when you go to other countries, it's so easy to get from one small town to another village. But here, to get to nowhere, Kansas is incredibly hard.
And not a single person likes the bus.
No.
I've never heard anyone that prefers the bus.
And it's because they're private bus companies, and they always break down. There's not a lot of infrastructure thrown at that, even though there was a time when that was the only way for a lot of people, especially people of color, to get around the states.
Not to mention the oil and gas lobbyists love the buses over the trains too. That's
true. They did favor busing over trains, which is why Amtrak is so expensive. But I think if this works out well, then we can see promise in more money going to Amtrak, and we can see more promise in actually connecting urban and rural centers. And I think I don't think it would necessarily demolish, but it would diminish the like rural versus urban, east coasters versus midwestern divide of like,
Sure.
you can feel more connected when you can actually get there in
Yeah.
like a costly, like not costly, but in an affordable way. And it's like, oh wait, people on the East Coast are this way, or people in Milwaukee are this way. Like, I think there's so much subtext that can go into like actually having equitable infrastructure for people to have job access and food access and also people access.
Yeah, wow, that's a really good point. But also, if you live in the rural communities that doesn't have access to a train, they're also going to use it for roads and bridges. You know, everyone can benefit from that.
That's true. Got to get across that creek somehow. I'm not swimming.
And also on top of that, the Democrats in the Senate also finally got their budget resolution through.
This is mostly the human infrastructure, as the Republicans made it. I think both sides are referring to it as that.
Which is a kind of a weird phrase, a little objectifying, but I get what they're going for.
I mean, childcare, they have the child tax credit that's already like, providing money to parents, which it should be. And it's like providing money for I think there's talks about providing money for maternal paternal leave, as well as community college, universal pre-K, just things that would make it easier to raise a family in America.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just expanded Medicare,
Yeah. And keep your family healthy or yourself healthy.
Yeah. I mean, and once again, as always, like all of the criticisms of any of this budget has nothing to do with like, I don't think that we should have healthy families or that people should have access to education. It's just like, oh, it's too much money. Oh, it's too much spending.
Well, it's strange because I think the rhetoric is, the rhetoric, because it's like you said, human infrastructure is so like de-anthropomorphized. Like it just feels very like rigid, like, oh, we're putting money into robot people or something like that. Whereas like, no, this is Americans' lives and making it easier to provide more, I mean, for God's sakes, more capital to the country if you can give people more ease of access. I don't know.
Yeah, and it also includes like a whole like climate package initiative, and a lot of it is being funded through like taxing the wealthy and trying to close loopholes and tax havens and all this. It's just a very progressive proposal in general, which will get slashed to hell in the House probably, but it's a good starting place, and it's nice to see that they're all sort of on the same page as far as...
I mean, hard to say it will. I mean, it could still pass a majority in the House. Unless the moderate Democrats of the House are just like not about it.
Yeah. I guess it won't get slashed to hell, but it will not remain the way it is now, because none of those proposals are legally binding or...
Oh, well, the actual budget is different. Yes, like that's going to take months to pass, and that's a future episode. I don't know. We'll talk about that.
But hey, there's a lot of money.
A lot of money coming your way, so watch out. I can't wait for all the new TikTokers coming out of the cornfields of Nebraska. I can't wait to see you.
Yeah, now with your new broadband internet, you can be TikToking anywhere.
You would think the big media companies would actually get behind the infrastructure. We are marketing geniuses right now.
Fucking hire us.
Adversely, we are what is being marketed is the cohort of people who refuse to keep their mask on and get vaccinated.
Yeah, I would say the vaccine thing is probably it's a bigger issue at this point, right?
Correct.
I mean, they're all one and the same. But...
the maskless and the vaxless.
Yeah.
They are one and the same.
Are really doubling down.
Yeah, and I mean, it's unfortunate because, there's rallies, there's Rand Paul and Marjorie Taylor Greene who are also like kind of fanning the flames. But then they're getting so much attention through Fox News, and even though it might be through ridicule or through commentary, but the thing is the platform is being given to them. We talked about this when Trump was elected, is that CNN created this 24-hour news cycle out of Trump. So it's like, why do that again with like people who are brazenly believing in misinformation?
Yeah, they're just kind of like constantly giving them a platform at this point. But I understand. I mean, I understand how the media works, and they're going to do that. I guess it's really on the responsibility of us to stop watching.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
but
the spectacle is what they crave.
But I also just don't know how to get to any of the anti-vaxxers at this point. Like, it seems like their main argument is that we're taking a step towards like authoritarianism or like a dictatorship. And even if that's true, like we already did it a long time ago. Like we already eradicated polio. Like we've mandated vaccines to go to school, to travel, to like all sorts of things.
Yeah.
This is not like the first time we've done this.
No, immunization records are required. That's just always been the thing. Like, the reason why people live longer is because of modern medicine.
Yeah, which includes vaccines.
To be like, I can understand that, so the Pentagon just approved of having all active personnel in the military have to get vaccinated. And the military actually has like the lowest rates of vaccination, like around 20-25%, something like that. And a lot of like active personnel were saying, since it's not authorized by the FDA yet, then why would we because it's only under emergency authorization, which the actual authorization process takes up to 12 months. So like it won't be until February till Moderna at the latest would be approved or fully authorized, and then it can be patched, like it can be used, like you can get off-brand vaccinations, blah, blah, blah. Which in itself still feels like a non-argument when billions upon billions upon billions of dollars worldwide were thrown at COVID-19 vaccination research. And also the specific vaccine that came into the one that we got has been researched for years. The mRNA vaccine is not new. It's just this was the opportune time where like this particular virus was it worked. The mRNA worked against it.
It's working very well, and no one's gotten hurt from it yet. So I don't know what the fear is about. I'm very surprised by the military statistic though, because I'm also surprised that they haven't mandated it already to
it took some time.
Like the military, because
they believed
when you enlist,
good
like
faith.
you're already kind of handing over a lot of your decisions to the government.
Yeah.
But maybe that's why they're not doing. They're like, well, if they're not going to force me to do it, then I'll take this one, liberty I have to refuse it. But I think that seems like one sector where it makes sense to just be like, well, we want you all to be safe because we are creating soldiers and whatnot.
I'm in no place to really make this critique, but I think it's maybe too generous to think of all people who work in the military as having like the mindset of like a person who's like, I work for like a public service worker. Like, I think it's kind of a hodgepodge of demographics. I mean,
Sure.
We all know people in the military, or you and I both know people in the military, and they talk about the culture around it, and it's always very fucking toxic.
Yes.
Or it's like very conservative or very this. So it's like, it isn't like, from what I understand from friends I know who are like who are active personnel, like the culture is changing and things are getting better, but there is still a certain person who is going to gravitate towards working in the military, especially in the lower ranks.
Right. And to be clear, like, I mean, I guess conservatives were always, or anti-vaxxers rather, tended to lead conservative anyways, because they were usually like sort of like extremely religious or something.
Right.
But now the reason that so many conservatives are anti-vax is because of the politicians that they've elected that are kind of telling them to be anti-vax, like Rand Paul or Marjorie Taylor Greene, or honestly, you could pretty much name any of them at this point.
Isn't it oxymoronic to be like, you got to serve your country, be the most patriotic, you should not get the vaccine. You should say no to the government. That makes you the most patriotic. But when it comes to 4th of July, you put that flag on and say, honor the troops. There's such a mental gymnastics that's being done about like how you want to worship, government worship can only be on like the terms of face saving.
Right.
It's not actual like, well, I consider myself patriotic not because I love the government, because I'm critical of it.
Right.
And I will follow like the CDC guidelines. Like, oh, that makes sense. Those are people working in immunology. I don't work in immunology.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you shit about it.
I mean, that's just the weird dichotomy of American politics, right? It's like the left is critical of the government, but also like respects the people who work at the CDC.
Right.
Whereas the right is extremely nationalist and love to fly the flag, but they hate the government and anything that they tell them to do.
Right.
So it's like you're the most rebellious against the government. All we're doing is critiquing them while still participating in it. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's like you can't help but to feel a sense of like you don't want to feel pity for people like that, because like that's like a weird feeling. But I just it's just so unfortunate, right? Because it doesn't have to be so dichotomous, or it doesn't have to be so what's the word? Like you don't have to blindly follow anything. You know, I mean, the fact that Cuomo did resign is a sign of the Democratic Party saying, well, we are willing to pluck out the bad apples because we don't fucking blindly worship our leaders.
Right.
But alas, party loyalty, I guess, does reign differently among party ideologies. GOP, like lip shut, we take in all our fringe, but Democrats are like, no. Yeah, we do have some morals that come, you know.
Yeah, we have a standard that we'd like to uphold.
Right.
And we tend to purge them out.
You can't be the party of women's rights and then not like purge like a person who's committing sexual assault.
Yeah, I mean, like, if the conservatives will just get Matt Gaetz out, I'll talk about it on this podcast. I'll give you a little pat on the back, but I don't think it's happening. Like,
no.
They don't care. So,
no. Do you want to get another one in, or how you feeling?
Sure. You want to do one more about Texas, or
great state of Texas?
Oh,
big buckles,
big 10-gallon hats,
10-gallon jugs of barbecue sauce stained shirts.
We talked about a few weeks ago that the Democrats were refusing to vote on the latest of their voter rights bills, and to do that they've been fleeing the state to go to Washington so that they're not present for the vote. Absolutely. And they've done it again. I guess they've done it a few times now. They've gotten in the routine of it. And so the highest court of Texas like issued a warrant for them and their arrest.
Yeah, the Speaker of the House, their legislators, wanted to arrest them. The court stayed the arrest, and they won't be like taken to jail, but they'll be escorted to the Capitol so they can have quorum for their vote. So they're basically forcing the legislative person to vote, or of course you can be absent, but to be in the House so they can have quorum, so they can pass this restricted voting rights bill, which will unfortunately keep Texas red for just a little bit longer.
But how do they? I actually don't understand how this works. Like, how did they like extradite them from Washington back to Texas? Like, are they sending?
Oh, they can't do that.
Can they send Dog the Bounty Hunter to go like wrangle them up and bring them back?
States don't have the power to extradite. That's like strictly a federal thing. So
right, which I think is usually like from a different, country.
Right. Yeah. So if they don't, then like there'll be a warrant, quote unquote, out for their arrest, but it would not result in a misdemeanor or a felony. I mean, there may be avoiding a warrant, and the mental, like the gymnastics that the Greg Abbott would go through in order to do this. But my predictions is they're going to find a way to, again, legally challenge it, whether it goes to SCOTUS or not, or it goes to, because it went to the highest court in Texas, but it didn't necessarily go to the highest, like to the appellate and to the, so we'll see. I'll keep holding it out. Texas Democrats, all 52 of you, 52 arrests.
That's wild, man. I mean, I do find it fascinating how much how flexible our laws are. Like they're trying to pass voter rights laws to make it so they can kind of cheat the election legally by making it harder to vote. So that the Democrats are like came up with this way of like not even voting by not being there, and then the courts are coming up with this weird way to like do a fake arrest thing, and they're all just sort of like playing these games that haven't been tried before, kind of thing. There's like so many holes in the legal process that people are just like playing games basically within it.
And just one last thing, and this is not, it's related but not related, but to an earlier thing you said. So for those who kept up with the infrastructure bill, there was a note, or I think to the resolution, I don't quite remember, that was added, in which like municipalities would not receive funding if they would have their funding curbed if they support if they defund the police.
Right.
Looking more into it, like defunding the police, quote unquote, is not a legal term. So it's not actually a binding thing to say. And also, like state, like city, municipality budgets are not beholden to the federal government. So they cannot actually curb. So the 99-0 vote, though peculiar, actually does not have legal grounding.
That's probably why it passed 99-0, because we were like, sure,
yeah,
we'll say that if you defund
Right.
the police, you don't get federal funding.
Right.
Like, because that's all it is. It's just lip service.
It's in the budget resolution. Yeah.
Yeah. They just like the Republicans just want their base to know that they like said something about the defund the police thing.
Right.
But it didn't. There's no tangible.
There's no tangible
effect.
thing, and that's not like something you can like to appropriate money differently is like that's not a punishable offense because money is appropriated differently all the time in municipalities. Like that's like invalidating a city commissioner's job.
Yeah, there's just so much like fake language in all of these legislations. Like it's just like, and it's so much. They write so much, and so much of it just means nothing.
It's political theater. The theater. But let's for another round of these stories. I think we got a little deeper.
Oh yeah, you think so?
I think so. You think so?
Yeah. Well, you know, they will never know. You know?
Only our OnlyFans subscribers will
find the
know.
hidden chapters, the hidden mixtape.
Thank you for tuning in to the Avant Inn. I am a host, Jerome Allen.
And I'm another host, Topher Wagner.
And if you like what you heard, leave a comment on Apple Music. If you like what you saw, like and subscribe on the YouTube. If you like that song, that's Knox England's Mend. And we love to hear your thoughts.
This thought goes out to Rand Paul in honor of YouTube suspending him for a week. Fuck around and find out. Fuck around and find out. Oh, nice.
That's why I was kind of rushing. I was like,
Oh, you knew it was about to.
Plus, I gotta set up upstairs.